Welcome to the Mingo and Karen Show, the podcast. We're excited that you've chosen to explore the topic of life with us. All of us are here for a reason, so let's venture on this journey together. The best advice I never got was to love myself. I I kind of struggled with this for a while, and I didn't realize it until, of course, y'all know I think a lot. Until I realized, like, I was giving Carrington, who is our daughter, so much advice on how to love herself, but I never took my own advice. I think I didn't know what that meant for me as a person. I think I only knew how I wanted her to be. I didn't know that it should have been a requirement for me to learn to love myself. So, and I have over the years, especially kind of, some of the struggles I have with my parents. And I do have struggles, and, you all be able to hear about that in a different podcast. But I don't remember my mom like telling me how much how pretty I was. And so I would always get uncomfortable with people saying that to me because, it wasn't deposited in me at an early age. Right. So I never wanted Carrington's worth to be based on how somebody else felt about her. How somebody else felt about her. Mm-hmm. I wanted her to be able to love who she was just authentically. So then she would always require for someone else to love her as well. So if she loved herself deeply, then she wouldn't accept just anything or any love from someone. Because when you do that and you compromise that, you don't get what you really deserve. And I'm grateful for you as my husband, because you've always told me these things from the beginning, of how much you love me, how much you value me, how much I mean to you, how beautiful I am, different things like that. Thanks, babe. So the best advice I never got was how to love myself.
And when you think about advice, advice is, anybody can give you advice.
Right.
We have to have enough discernment, enough common sense that, if somebody tell you to jump off a bridge and fly, that's not what you want to do. Mm-hmm. And you start talking about love. It's really hard for people in my life. I'll say that. I won't speak for nobody else. Now that I'm older and sit on the other side of the fence, people who wasn't adequately loved, in my opinion, in my life, in my experience, don't really know how to give it. And they think they're giving it. Like, for example, some people give money. They think love is money.
Right.
They don't think it's time. They don't think it's compliments. They don't think it's hugs. I mean, I remember when I first got with you, you know what I'm saying? And we were dating as 19-year-olds. And I met your family and everybody was hugging. And that was foreign to me. That's the way y'all showed love.
Right.
Where I didn't come from a hugging family. So that was very foreign and that was odd. But what I learned through your family helped me to do it in my own family. So it's never too late to get love.
Right.
But I think you had enough holes in your life for that. You wanted it. So you knew that once you had kids or, even daughter, son, it doesn't matter. You made a decision that I'm going to let her know she's worthy. And so if she understands what it is to be loved, she would never accept anything different than that. That doesn't mean she won't have things come her way or the boys won't have things come their way that challenges that or puts that knowledge to the test. But they have a foundation where you and I didn't. We had to love on one another real hard to understand the wrongs and rights of love. Because I am a believer that love is that action.
Right.
Because, people can say, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. But they turn around and don't show that love. And I remember you telling me that love is kind. Love is patient. All these different things. And when you start thinking about it, those descriptions of love does not come into question until there is a challenge. In your everyday thing, it's like, oh, I love Karen. But when you have to prove it. I remember you spoke once before, I showed you a level of love because when you were sick and that doctor said, just gave you that doom and gloom diagnosis, we began to step in and show our love where I bathed you, whether I took you to the bathroom, where I made sure you you ate, and then your mom and your dad, they helped out. The kids were even the boys at that time. They were little kids, but they understood that mom can't play with me right now. That's how everybody showed their love. So I do agree with you about your description of love.
Yeah, and I just want to. It's such a sensitive subject for me, to kind of talk about my own journey of, because I consider myself in one regard to be a very confident person. I consider myself to be very driven, very, very focused, very intentional about what I want in my life. And so to be honest enough to say that I struggle with self-love because I'm having to figure it out. And I think that even like you talking about like my family hugging and different things like that, it was, in a strange way to me, it was more in jest than it was real. And I don't think that, let me be very clear on what I'm saying. I don't think that they didn't love me, right? But I think that love had conditions. And that when you have a love that has conditions on it, and then you try to find your way to self-love in those conditions, it's challenging. Self-love should be unconditional, where you have grace for yourself, and you provide that in case you mess up and you got to say, oh man, I messed up this time. Let me forgive myself and start over. When you have love with conditions on it, it's not that easy. It's not that easy to be able to recover and rebound from that, versus when it's unconditional. Then you say, okay, this is what just happened in this situation, or this is what happened in this place that I'm in, and you're able to just kind of move on from it. When you've got to be able to, when you have a love that has conditions on it, it's difficult to love yourself unconditionally, because then I began to ridicule myself. I was raised that you should be your own best critic. That's some really good advice, right? Until you become overly critical.
Yeah, then you question
everything,
decision, every thought, and then it's like, why are you doing that? Yeah. But I think, I don't like to make excuses for people.
Yeah.
Because I remember when let's use the example of love with our children. We don't say that, well, I love you 100% and divide it by 4. Right. And say each one of them get 25%. It doesn't work like that in our household.
We've never done that.
In our household, it's each child gets 100%.
Yep.
Good, bad, the ugly. They get 100%. Sometimes that's cheerleading, and sometimes that's correction. Yeah. And we're going to always tell you the truth. Yeah. The truth may sting in the beginning, but I'm a believer that if you deal with me, tell me the truth up front. I'd rather go and absorb that versus you telling me what I want to hear, and then I don't get that. Yeah. Now I didn't get what I want, and I'm disappointed. Wow. So then that led me to a place of believing, and I was putting too much faith in the people. Because I didn't understand love. I couldn't understand when a person told me they were going to do something and they did not do it. Yeah. Then when I was put in the position of telling somebody something, couldn't quite do it, but I felt like I was communicating with them that I couldn't do it. The ultimate thing was I still couldn't do it. Right. So when I started thinking about love, there's different types of love to me. Right. You love your neighbor. That's just like a omnipresent love. It's everywhere. It's unspoken. Yeah, you just do it. Yeah, you love your neighbor. Yeah. But my love for you, and my love for my kids, and my love for my friends, and my grandbaby Skylar, and my granddaughter, that's manifested love. Yeah. That's direct love. It's intentional. It's right then. Yeah. It may be a hug or it may be correction, like I just said. So when you start talking about love, I don't like to be manipulated into loving anything. Yeah. I don't want anyone taking my choices from me. Absolutely. Ever. If I don't want to love something, don't try to trick me into loving it. Because it's easy to do, and family members do it the best. Yeah. Because, as we've had discussions, everybody's family has different dynamics. And I am a believer that when you start talking about family, my set of rules are across the board because of the way I was raised. Yeah. It's not right, but I was told growing up that if somebody treats you like somebody off the street or just a lay person, because it's a family member doesn't make it different. Right. That's not always a good thing, but that's the foundation that was put in me. Then I encountered you, and I was shown a different way. So the point I'm making is that when you take love and you take your family, specifically family, and you say that, okay, I have a set of rules that these are Mingo rules. This is my box. These are my guidelines to be in my life. So if I hold my coworkers accountable to that when I was in the regular workforce,
Right.
if I hold my friends, my fraternity brothers, anybody that's not my blood relative, these are the rules to deal with me. They get to make that decision at that point to say, well, I don't want to deal with Mingo because I don't want to abide by those rules. I want to do it the way they do it. So you be my friend over there. Now, let's take family. See, for me, family falls in that same bucket. And there is no second bucket. But what we tend to do is allow that guard to be dropped and let that family in. And then that family crosses that barrier for yourself way more than what your friend or coworker would ever do.
Right.
Now that's damaging to me. Now my heart has a chip in it. And now my heart is getting tainted. And then the love of you and the kids, it brought me back from a dark side quite a few times. But I shouldn't have to do that. If I tell somebody these are the rules for my life, come on, respect them. Because if it comes to their life, they want me to follow it to a T.
Right.
And I just think in love, I should be able to love you. I should listen to the way you want to be loved, but I should also have the freedom to love you the way I want to love you, and also be loved the way I want to be loved.
Right. And, you know, when it comes to us, I believe that we were on two different kind of extremes, right? So you were just taught, hey, if somebody treats you like a person off the street, that's what they become. I was taught that no matter what, you know, that love has to come in this form of like, just because it's family. Unconditional, that, you know, you have to suffer for love. And I don't think that you should have to compromise who you are.
Yeah.
Compromise what you want.
Yeah.
In the name of that love. I equally don't think you just necessarily throw people away either.
Yeah.
We've said on one of our Instagram videos that you have to make room for grace.
You do.
And I think that grace is important in every relationship that we have that is valuable to you.
Yeah.
Because every relationship doesn't have the same level of value.
It does not.
And because of that, you have to decide how that grace is measured and what it looks like for your life. And I know for me, I didn't know how to establish boundaries, right? And in not establishing boundaries for other people, I also didn't establish boundaries for myself. And understanding that what I do and how I do it for me is just as important as how I do it for other people in my life. And I want to be better for me. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? I want to, like, it almost feels unnatural
to love yourself,
to love myself, which is
that's bananas.
Crazy.
That's bananas.
Yeah, it's like it's strange, but it's because the way I was raised was to always serve others.
Okay.
But it's difficult. And so, you know, like I've said before, making sure that everybody else was okay other than me. And I am important and I am valuable and I am loved. And what's so crazy is that I have to tell myself that on a daily basis, probably more than one time a day, to understand my own value and my own worth, versus if I really love myself, I would. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
If I loved myself, then I wouldn't even have to I wouldn't have to remind myself to love myself. I wouldn't have to remind myself to, I wouldn't have to, you know, to tell me to that it's okay to put me first today. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Like, in order for me to be a better wife, mom, grandmother, friend, whatever, right? I need to be a good Karen first.
Yes, you do. You know, when we was talking about this topic, you said something that really kind of sparked this whole discussion. And you said self-love isn't selfish. naturally, to love yourself, you should not even feel selfish about
Yeah.
it. If you go work hard every day for what you do,
Mm-hmm.
you know, whatever you do in life as a living, and it supports you monetarily,
Mm-hmm.
you should spend some of that fruit on yourself. It's important. It is important. It doesn't mean you have to buy a super expensive watch as a man or a suit. It doesn't mean you have to buy an expensive purse as a woman. It could be something simple like you treat yourself to a nice lunch without a rush and get a glass of wine.
Mm-hmm.
When you typically wouldn't do that.
Right.
Or you treat yourself to an outfit for an upcoming event ahead of time. You planning to do something for yourself ahead of time. See, selfish has different levels of it.
Right.
When you're taking from the household just to benefit you, that's selfish. And that's even the household of one.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a single person,
Mm-hmm.
and you have your own set of bills,
Mm-hmm.
and you neglect that bill to do something selfish like take a trip, but you know you're gonna have to figure
Come
it
back
out,
to
or
it,
just
yep.
just whatever it is you do to recover. That is being selfish in my eyes, but
Mm-hmm.
there's no judgment. That works for you.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I won't call anybody selfish because I won't be in a selfish person's life.
Mm-hmm.
So how am I going to sit on the outside and pass judgment on you when I have total control of who's in my surrounding? See, now people may call that selfish, but I want a certain kind of person around me.
Yeah, and I think when I remember us having the conversation of how we came up with this actual topic to talk about, the reason why I said self-love is not selfish
Mm-hmm.
is just based on my own experiences of if you're not giving everything to everyone else, then you're being selfish, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the foundation that I was given in my life.
And let's call it what it is. That's manipulation.
Right. It's total manipulation. Like I get it now, but I didn't before. But in my opinion, being selfish meant, if it meant that we were going to dinner and I might want a prime rib, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you say, well, babe, I'd rather have seafood. I would sacrifice wanting what I wanted, a prime rib, just to make sure you were okay. Right. Mm-hmm. And so we ate seafood instead of finding a balance of, well, shoot, why can't I go to a restaurant that can serve prime rib and serve seafood? I always felt like I needed to make the sacrifice so that I didn't feel like I was being selfish. And in that, it made me understand and realize that by making that what I thought was a sacrifice to make sure that you were happy, it resulted in my unhappiness, because now I'm left trying to figure out, what am I going to eat at this seafood restaurant? You understand what I'm saying? Versus finding a restaurant that could accommodate both of us. I just wanted to make sure that you were happy. And so understanding what self-love is now, it is that I can have what I want unselfishly, mm-hmm. and you can have what you want too. There is a middle ground. I don't have to just forego everything that I want to make sure that you're okay, because then it results in me being unhappy. And it's not something that you required of me ever. It's something that just innately I guess I internalized it, and I made it about, well, gosh, if he's saying that he wants this and we don't want the same thing, then I'm just going, I'm going to be the ultimate sacrifice and not have what it is that I want. And that was because of Iyanla talks about a pathology, right? Iyanla Vanzant. For those of you who may not know who I'm talking about, she's one of the people who I actually look up to, other than, Oprah Winfrey, because Oprah is the greatest. I just want to say that. But Iyanla talks about a pathology and how who we are comes from something. Mm-hmm. My pathology and the way that I was raised was to not give to myself. It was to give to others, and then not even expect for other people to reciprocate.
But be disappointed because they didn't.
Yeah, and I mean, totally be disappointed, because it's like, well, gosh, I just cooked for like 30 people in my family. I do this at least twice a month, or I'm having barbecues, or we're doing all these things, and then don't necessarily always get things in return, then I'm disappointed. You understand what I'm saying? So I had to learn how to put value on my own self as much as I did with other people, and I still struggle with that, because I feel like, oh my gosh, I feel kind of almost, I do feel selfish sometimes if it's something that I just want to do. If I feel like as a wife, my duty is to make sure that you're okay. I believe in a traditional role for me. Now, that's not to say that, listen, I don't want anybody to get it misconstrued that I'm telling you how to live your life. But for me, I enjoy doing things for you. So if I'm sleeping, to 11 o'clock, right, on the day that I don't have to go to work, and you want to have breakfast, I feel bad because I'm asleep. Because in my mind I'm like, oh God, let me get up and make sure Mingo is okay. But you, as my husband, you don't even require that. You don't even require that. You watch me sleep.
But that goes back into the pathology thing you was talking about. Mm-hmm. And it also looks into the benefits of self-love. Mm-hmm. The benefit of self-love is the first thing you do is you stand up for your love.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm talking about you stand up for your love. The way you want to be loved, there is nothing wrong with telling me as your husband, I want to be loved like this.
Yeah.
Telling your kids, I want to be loved like this. Mm-hmm. Telling your friends, your cousins, just whoever's in your life in that intimate space, there's nothing wrong with saying, I want to be loved like this. This is not a condition, because those who don't want to do it, they go disappear anyway.
You're right.
So why let them be in your space to fail you anyway?
But you hit on a really good point. I think that a part of my problem in the past is that when I would express to people that I thought mattered, right, in my life, I would express to them that this is what I need from you, and they would always let me down, or they would tell me I can't give that. And it was at that point where I learned what it means for people to have the capacity to love. Yeah. And if they don't embody what it is that I'm looking for, then I have to accept that.
But then where the problem comes in is that true they can't do that? Because what makes it rise up in you and disappoints you is when you see them do it for somebody else.
Right.
So it's like, oh, you have the ability to do this, but you choose not to do it with me. Mm-hmm. So I love myself enough to say, hey, I love you, but you can't be in this part of my life on this level, because we're not giving the same thing. See, I'm in the 50-50. Yeah. 50-50, everything. No, let's just change that. I'm into 100.
Yeah.
And to go to the next level, I want 120 from you, and I'm going to give you 120.
Yeah.
We both going hard in the paint. That's what I want. Because 50-50, that's mediocre, and we're not mediocre people.
We're not.
So, if you ever encounter us individually, couple, extension of our kids, that's the expectation of being in our lives. Mm-hmm. It's 120%. Because if I say I want to be in your life, I'm going to give 120.
Yeah.
But I also understand and learn that people say they want that on the front end till that 120 show up.
Ooh.
So you talk about it on that 5% level, mm-hmm. that surface honeymoon level, mm-hmm. and it's like, this is what it's going to be. And then that situation arises, and I show up with my whole 120. Now my 120 ain't working with your 5% no more.
Yeah.
See, I didn't do my due diligence.
And then I get then the person gets frustrated because it's like, oh, okay, that's all you have to give while I'm giving my 120.
Yeah.
You ain't got but 5 to give.
So that falls back into self-love.
Yeah.
Because if I knew how to love myself, I would have paid enough attention to that sign that it wouldn't have had to go from 5% to 120. Because when I got to 10%, you would have been at 10%. When I got to 25%, you would have been at 25%. We would have derived at 120 together.
Yeah.
So think about that relationship. I'm at 120 and you on 5. You stopped being my friend or my
time ago.
Back, whatever my go-to a long time ago.
Yeah.
And then you have to be able to stand in that. So I say, okay, this is where I'm going with this relationship, regardless of where it is. This is not going to work out for either of us. But see, the difference with me is, and you, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. I said, this ain't working.
Yeah. And I think you have been such a great advocate for me to love myself. Things that I needed to do before that I didn't understand and know. You've always said, babe, stop always. I mean, even when the kids were little, you'd be like, babe, stop doing everything for them, or stop, do something. And it would oftentimes be things they didn't even need. You would buy
for the past, present, and the future, and just not do nothing for yourself.
Those are all facts.
You would buy jeans too big and put big cuffs in them just because you said, well, they're going to need these jeans in the fall. I said, but you need jeans now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
And I think what's so crazy about that is we're not even talking about in times where we struggled financially. We're talking about in times of plenty where I would not put myself first, or I would not make a sacrifice of what I wanted to make sure that the kids had what they wanted. You know, I remember us going down to when in 2000, I want to think 6 or 7, when the Essence Festival.
2006.
It was 6 when. This was after Katrina, and they had it in Houston. And I can remember us going to the mall and the outlets.
Galleria, I think.
Yeah, we went to the Galleria Mall, but I was just splurging on the kids. And I mean, at the time, we had a pretty good amount of money in the bank. I'd say that we had a lot of money in the bank. And I went into the Gucci store, and there were these boots. Oh my God, oh my gosh! I still have my Gucci boot moment. But there were these boots that I really, really wanted, and I didn't buy them for myself, right? They were only at the time, and I mean, this would have been nothing for me to spend, $895, which sounds like a lot today. But you know, still, I probably would have still had those boots. They were just classic boots, and I didn't buy them. And so, but we spent $3,200 on the kids.
Yeah. We did.
So ridiculous. I mean, if you really think about it, and the point is not about just the Gucci boots, or it was the fact that you
didn't love yourself enough to do it.
I'm talking about 4 times what those boots cost is what we spent on the kids.
But you learn from that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you learn from something, when you know better,
you do better.
And so self-love, that's what we were void of.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't know what love was, because it wasn't deposited in me.
Right.
And you would deposit a one-sided type of love.
That's right.
So that means if Karen does this for Karen, that's wrong.
Yeah.
And that's not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's not wrong for anybody. Mm-hmm. Loving yourself, because if you work yourself too hard, you will not have the physical, mental ability to love somebody else.
That's right.
You were not put here to live your life for you and live somebody else's life.
That's good.
So we understand that love is what it does, and it's not doing anything.
It ain't
it's
nothing. Yep.
And that's just the way I feel about love. So if I tell you I love you, I mean, that's anybody in my life. I mean it.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we don't talk every day, my love don't change. My love meter don't change up.
Wow.
My life might be moving up and down. And being an entrepreneur, as long as we have been, we have some stories that really test love.
Yeah.
The love of one another, the love of what we're doing, the just believing that this is going to happen. Your love is stretched. So now when people see us 24 years later, getting ready to turn 25 years, our love has been tested, tried, and proven.
Yeah.
And that's what I think about self-love.
Yeah, and I want to, just say that for me on this journey, I'm excited about even just the new discoveries of who I am. I'm excited about where this is going to take me in my life to be the better, to be a better me, to be the person I was designed to be, and to know my worth, my value, and that I'm deserving of my own love.
If your love is that good to give, think if you gave some of that to yourself.
Absolutely. And I saw on Twitter, I'm not gonna say who the young lady is, but she said that she's having a good time. It's a famous person that said that she's having a good time just knowing how much she loves herself, that she's so in love with herself. So I just encourage everyone today to just go out and be okay with finding the love that you're giving everybody else, that you got to find that same love within yourself. And it's okay that to know that self-love isn't selfish. Happy relationship building.
Happy relationship building.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. You can find us on Facebook on our Love is Powerful Stuff page, and at Mingo and Karen on Twitter and Instagram. Happy relationship building.